Hi, I'm Georgia.
I'm Shane.
And welcome to our home. We're going to take you on a little quick tour and then we're going to answer some questions. Come through. So our house is only recently built, so it looks all shiny and new, but there is a lot of building still going on, so you might hear some things from outside. What we're taking you to is our kitchen, our dining room, and our living room. The kitchen is where we start and end most days, cooking for each other and mostly making tea.
Or coffee. I'm a big coffee drinker, so I like to do it the right way, using a stovetop percolator and some good quality grounds.
So, and when it comes to coffee for both of us and for tea, it's a big ritual. It's something that we really spend time on and really spend time together, just drinking that coffee and that tea. We really do enjoy it. In this space, and in the home in general, there's a lot of antiques and new things. I like the texture and the feel of having old and new together. I think it really adds something to this space. Otherwise, everything would be far too shiny and new. We've got a lot of plants. I really like putting plants into spaces. I really like having lots and lots of greenery around us. The only thing is, I collect them.
And I look after them.
It works for us. Well, it works for me anyway. One thing that there's lots of things that we do in this space really, but the sofa is the one thing that we really spend a lot of time on when we're not sleeping. The couch for us is a place where we read, we play video games and board games.
Generally just relax.
And spend some time watching TV together at the end of the day. We really, really do love to just chill together.
Yeah.
Where I'm going to take you next is a space that's been carved basically for me. It's my space. It's my second favourite room in the house.
With the amount of time she spends in here, it doesn't surprise me at all.
This space is my study. Up until recently, it was full of academic textbooks and lots of boring things with nothing much on the walls. Now that my studies are done, for now, we've got lots of things from my travels, photographs, pictures, things I like to look at, and it's also full of sewing machines. I've got 3 sewing machines, lots of sewing projects on the go, different little things hidden away in lots of drawers. It's one of the things that I really like about being able to put everything away is you can't see anything. So in here there's lots of sewing books, but there's also lots of hidden fabric. In all sorts of drawers, they'll be full of fabric and little sewing nicks and knacks so that I have everything that I need. And you can never have too much fabric. This room is also hosting a secret. This behind me here is my wedding dress. Only a couple of people have seen it. And hopefully, if all goes well, we'll be able to have our wedding later this year, and this will be able to be seen by everyone else. The final room, the second final room actually, we're going to take you through to a space that was really important to me and to us when we built the house. So this room here is the main bathroom, but most importantly, it has a bath. I really like the ability to just take time out, stop, really spend time enjoying a bath in a really tranquil setting with greenery and lots of nice little things and textures around us. It's really important to me to have that ability to de-stress in our rooms. I'm going to take you through to our favourite room in the house. Last year, we were lucky enough to be a part of IKEA Plus U. For us, our bedroom was a place that we probably wouldn't have decorated until absolutely last. And we were lucky enough for them to do it for us. So how about we show you? Come through. This is our favourite room. Like I said before, it's a beautiful space where we get to spend a lot of time in. We're really lucky. It's a tranquil space that we really, really like.
Everything has its own space. Georgia can collect her mountains of sunglasses.
There's not that many, it's only a few, and all of them have their place, which is a complete removal from what it was like before. Nothing had a space, nothing was organised. Now everything has its own space with lots of storage, both under bed and all around us really, with the PAX wardrobes behind us, different bedside tables for both of our needs. I like to have things all next to me, but Shane's a bit different.
I'm more of a minimalist, and I like to focus on a less is more philosophy.
And finally, again, you're going to find so much greenery in our space. They've created a beautiful space in our atrium that has full of plants, and it's really nice to wake up to every single morning. This room it's our sanctuary. It's a tranquil zone and a retreat for us. It's a really important space in our home.
It's where we go to have a bit of a reprieve from the world.
Which
shut everything out and recharge.
Which is really important for us. So now you've seen our home. We're going to go off and answer some questions now. Find somewhere comfy to sit.
Thanks so much, Georgia and Shane, for taking us through your home today. It's been, what a beautiful space that you have. I could really feel your personalities coming through in the decor and the styling. Hi, my name's Ali from IKEA, and I'm so excited to have a chat with you guys today. I'm really looking forward to speaking about your beautiful IKEA plus U bedroom, actually. It looks absolutely stunning in the space. And let me know when you guys are ready and comfy for a chat.
We're pretty comfy and we're ready for you.
Yeah, thank you for coming home through our house.
My first question for you guys is a really unique one. I guess we're in a really, a unique position at the moment where our homes have really become, the hub of our lives. So they're becoming our gyms, they're becoming our restaurants, our workspaces and everything in between. I really want to know what your space in your home looks like at the moment for you guys and what it means.
Well, we're both pretty workaholic sort of people, so our lives have always been a little bit hectic. We've studied at the same time as working, and with all the different little projects we do, everything has kind of already happened here. The only difference is we've probably spent more time together now, just because it's allowed us to not drift off doing our own separate thing in the same space.
Yeah, I think because we've both worked quite collaboratively on other projects and we both studied quite high, intense stuff, we know how to work and study and in the space, as well as we've made a little gym in the garage, and we're trying really hard to change the space up, but it's definitely given us more time together, which has actually been a good thing to come out of the really unique situation that we're in.
Shane, I've got a question for you actually. I'd love to know what a day in the life of Shane looks like.
Sure. My day generally tends to start pretty early. I'll get up at 5:30 or earlier so that I can head off to work. While this is all happening though, Georgia generally doesn't wake up with me just because it's so early. And so I'll sneak off and I'll make myself a cup of coffee and try and enjoy it, really make a ritual of it before I head off to work. But because I start early, I get to finish early as well. And so I get to come home while the sun's still out, and I'll spread out on the couch, have another cup of coffee, and just reconnect with Georgia and just kind of enjoy the rest of the day and try and really touch base again.
And Georgia, what about you? What does a day in the life of Georgia look like?
So when it comes to days on at work, they're very different, of course, from days when I'm at home. So days at work, I wake up when Shane leaves, but I usually won't get my head together fast enough to get out of bed or get going. So I will take my time a little bit, then have a cup of tea, have breakfast, get dressed and get out the door for work days, and then I'll be home much later than Shane will, and so we start our days up, our day up much after that. Then when it comes to days when I'm at home, I take it slower. So I really like to make a pot of tea, have a very slow breakfast, sit on the couch, maybe watch a show or read a book or stay in bed, really depends on how I'm feeling, and then I'll get up and head towards my study and start sewing, or do some other work or read or watch a show. And then when Shane gets home, we generally like to hike or go for a walk or just do something, sort of catch the sun a little bit, and then we'll head and sit down and really slow down, and then one of us will make tea, depends on what we're feeling like, and then we'll head to bed. That's basically the day how it is, really. So yeah.
And, how important is your home, after you've had a busy day, you sort of kicked off your shoes, how important is home for you guys to sort of reconnect and, and for it to be a really safe place and a place where you guys can come together? What does that look like for you guys?
For us, it's a reprieve from the outside world. It allows us to kind of come home, shut the world out and recharge and reconnect. And if it weren't for that sort of sanctuary that it provides, it would just be a constant stream of chaos, and we get to take off all the many hats that we wear throughout the day.
So we're both at the moment in service industries, so that means that we're around people all day, a lot of the time when we're actually at work, and so that means that for our coming home, it's a bit of peace and quiet. It's the ability to get back to the space of I'm okay, and it's just my own head in that I'm listening to, and then be able to reconnect with him and then get back to us. And it's really about, this place is very stress-free for me, definitely, and I think for us it's our sanctuary.
And for a lot of us, having that emotional connection to our homes is really important. I'd love to hear about, some of those really sentimental pieces of furniture, or perhaps it's a photo in your home. Can you describe to me what they are and why they're so important to you?
Yeah, for me, there's a couple of pieces that I'm really attached to. One of the things that was a big thing, especially when we did the IKEA Plus You promotion, was that I got a much larger wardrobe. Before this all played out, we had these small little wardrobes which I had a corner of, and they were beautiful. But unfortunately there wasn't enough room for my clothes, and so I had maybe 5 changes of clothes hanging up, and that's about it. And when we got the upgraded PAX wardrobes, I was able to go out and buy all the clothes that I've been wanting to buy for a very long time. And so that was a really important and kind of emotional thing for me, because I got to start being me again.
Yeah. I think for me, it's been, there's so much in the space that is really important. Like, I've got heirloom pieces, and the wardrobes were actually heirloom pieces as well, which I haven't gotten rid of. They're just in storage until we've got a bigger house, a much bigger house, in which case they will be not so much for storing clothes as other things. So the heirloom pieces are important, of course. They're like the kitchen table and the wardrobe, but I think it's more about how our space comes together that's actually the most important thing. I think that I really love the cohesive whole of our space. It all comes together to make a sentimental space for me and an emotional connection. with the space is to do with how it is constructed and what is every little bit contributing to that space.
I love that so much, Georgia. You're absolutely right. I love that it's not just, simple, like single things that make the home. It's everything that comes together. I think that's a beautiful thing and really well said. Before we deep dive into, your IKEA plus U bedroom makeover, I actually would love to hear how you guys describe your style in your space. We had a bit of a home tour and I could see lots of different bits of your personalities brought throughout. So I just want to hear how you describe that.
Well, we have slightly different styles, but they actually end up marrying together quite well. I've got more of an industrial style, and I like the textures of exposed metal and rough wood and all that sort of stuff. But Georgia,
So I really love like vintage pieces, antique pieces, but I really like to have certain rooms having a certain style. So when it comes to interior design, I really like lounge rooms to be really quite cozy, but they can have a much bigger element or a much bigger presence than smaller spaces like our studies. So like within this lounge room, we can have industrial elements and vintage elements and big statement antique pieces, but I think a lot of soft furnishings and really nice little elements as well that have been placed within it. And then when it comes to places like my creative spaces, so my study is really important to me because it has to have enough room in it aesthetically to have something creative within it. So I really like clean lines, Scandi sort of like light woods and whites and textures, but very, very clean, open spaces. So lots of different things that mean that I can create a space within it. And then when it comes to the bedroom, it should always be inviting and warm and comforting and really like a nice space. So I think that's achieved by soft lighting and lots of different textures and things like that. So I think it's really, I have lots of different eclectic design ideas, but they work really well for both of us. Nothing comes into this space that we don't love, and that really works for us.
And so is that how you guys find compromise? I guess, you've got two styles that, have some similarities but are sometimes different. How do you guys negotiate, how that works within your home?
well, we are actually quite big talkers. So for us, while we are generally on the same page for a lot of things don't come into a space that we don't both love, but we will also talk through our decision process and we'll try and figure out what are the elements of the item that we're bringing in that we are attracted to, so that if it doesn't quite suit, we can kind of figure out a different way to bring in that same sort of element.
So basically, if something one person really, really loves, but the other person just can't see why that you would love it, we really try to describe what it is that is drawing us to that. And I think that really helps us to understand the other person's perspective and then compromise it on what we might not see, because we can have a moment in their shoes and see it through their eyes, which really means that we don't bring anything into this space that we don't want or love and that we don't both really, really like. So I think that really works for us.
That's a great skill that you guys have, and I think you definitely have found your groove. Your house looks very seamless, so no, that's excellent tips, I think. And I guess before we go and start talking about the bedroom and some of the really cool wardrobe bits and pieces in there, a question for you, George. I'm really interested to chat a little bit more about your sewing space in your study room. Do you mind just sharing with us some of the inspiration behind it? They say a clear space is a clear mind, and it was a very tidy space, so really keen to kind of get your view on the space.
So when it comes to that space, it's tidy most of the time, especially when I'm starting a new project. It is chaos when I'm in the midst of something or adjusting a pattern or cutting something out. There'll be stuff all over the floor and things like that, but there's always a spot for it to go back into. So when it comes to sewing and creating things in fabric, you end up with lots of little bits and pieces and lots of things. And I've got 7 different pairs of scissors, all having their own different thing to do within sewing, but they all have to have a spot so that you know where they are. You can just pick them up straight away and do what you need to do and then put them away. I think that I really like to have clean workspaces so that not too much is on each top, and I really like to have very calm walls with things that I just really love that really inspire me. And I think that having light colours, so the greys and the whites and the light woods, really help me create a space. I find that really blank canvas almost, and then as long as everything's tidy and in its appropriate spot with lots and lots of different storage options, it helps me to really create something special in a really so from nothing to something. There'll usually be something bright on the mannequin or something like that from what I'm creating, but I like a really clean space to begin with. So I think that's what that space is about.
So guys, I want to rewind to about a year ago when the IKEA team came in and made over your bedroom as part of the IKEA Plus You program. I'm really interested to see or hear about your feelings when you opened that door and you saw the complete solution for the first time. What was that like for you all?
It was an experience. It was opening that door for the first time. It was this wave that came over me that was just oh my God, this is ours. It didn't even cross my mind that our space could be anything like that. It was such a transformation. And even now we're still just going, I can't believe we actually had this. It was amazing. It's just a sanctuary now. It's something that we actually enjoy being in.
I think that when I saw it for the first time, it was a really big change, and it was just so, I couldn't believe it was ours. Like Shane was saying, it was just phenomenal. There was no way that this was ours, but it was, and I think that they did such an incredible job, and it's such a calm space that we just adore.
And what's your favourite part of the room? Have you got a favourite product or something about the space that you love?
Yeah, definitely for me, like I was saying earlier, the wardrobe is a big thing for me because it allows me to expand my style and actually collect some more watches, collect more shoes, have a little bit more clothes which allow me to be me again. It was a massive difference for me.
Yeah, I think for me, having some rugs on the floor, having the different textile textures was a really amazing thing. The beautiful light that they've put in there I just love that it's not harsh and that you can turn on one of the bedside lights and it doesn't shock you into being awake. Shane will usually turn it on at his lamp on at 5 or 4 in the morning, and I will still usually be half asleep. So that's really useful for us. And I really love the atrium. We were so lucky that they did the area outside our window full of plants, and they made this little oasis, this little space that I really love looking out at in the morning and falling asleep watching at night. It's a really great space for me.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see, bringing the nature indoors to what you've just said, Georgia, with the beautiful atrium. And also having a tidy space is fabulous, right? So, do you find yourself going to bed and waking up feeling really refreshed, knowing that everything has its home and, you've got all your little bits and pieces put away?
I think so, yeah. So basically, when the solution happened, I was in the midst of finishing up my final thesis for my master's degree. So I had books everywhere and my laptop everywhere, and they made it so that every little bit had its spot, and I could literally wake up in the morning, grab all my stuff out of my bedside table, and start working as soon as a thought came across my mind. And now I've changed it into a much happier space with lots of fiction books and different things that I get to have fun with as opposed to working. And I think that knowing that all my sunglasses have a spot and I know where to pick one up and put it down, and every single bit of our bags and our accessories, Shane's watches, they all have a really relevant spot in our room, and it means that you're not falling asleep with 1,000 things to do. You don't go, oh God, I've got to do that and that needs to go away and oh, the shoe's on the floor. Everything is where it should be. There's no one piece that is bugging you as you fall asleep. So it's definitely helped make it a calm and tranquil space, I think.
Cool. And before we leave you guys, I've got one final question for you. It's a little bit of a curly one, but I'd love to know, of the both of you, who do you think is the most tidiest?
Ooh.
It depends on the situation. Definitely when Georgia's been sewing, she's not the tidy one. I can get home from work and I can tell when she's been sewing because little bits of fabric or string have been strewn all through the house.
Okay, so the study stays tidy, but because sewing has a lot of little fibers, and so I'll usually be barefoot or wearing socks and it'll get attached to my feet, and then I'll walk it all over the carpet, and then all of a sudden Shane will come home with there's all these white little fibers all over the floor, and he knows that I've spent most of the day in my study. And I think that's kind of funny, but it does mean that I have to get the vacuum cleaner out and sort it out. But that's okay. It's a compromise. I'll let it slide. But I think when it comes to Shane cleans as he goes, when it comes to cooking and things like that, where I'm a clean and polish all in one hit. So I will make sure that Shane will just clean it as he goes, and then everything will be tidy and clean. Where I make sure that when I'm done with something, everything goes away, everything's tidy, and then I make it really, really pretty. And so it's a clean and beautiful space. And I think that our styles are slightly different. So mine is more about the finished product, and Shane is more about keeping it tidy as we go. But it works, I think, for us. It works for us, definitely.
Guys, thank you so much for having a chat with us today and taking us through your beautiful home. I am sure, like many people, I've got bedroom envy and I've got plant envy. You've done a fantastic job, and I can't thank you enough for letting us in today.
No worries. It's been great having you guys come along and seeing our home.
Thank you.
Great. See you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.